Well, we're here talking to Kim Fisher with the City of Calgary, and it's all about talking about household waste and how to properly dispose of it. Kim, it's kind of a big deal. How do you guys find so far that the City of Calgary does in terms of this?
Overall, Calgarians are dropping off quite a bit of household hazardous waste at the right locations.
Okay.
There's 9 of those in the city, but there is a few more steps we can do to ensure that the chemicals are packaged properly and safely.
Okay, so first of all, household hazardous waste. What does that include? Give us just a few examples.
This runs from things you find around your house, in your garage, things like household cleaners, things like motor oil and antifreeze, as well as yard products as well.
Okay, so first of all, where do we start? We know there's specific guidelines when it comes to labeling and packaging. Let's start with packaging.
With packaging, if you can bring the material in its original container, that's always best.
Okay.
However, that isn't always the case. So what you can do is properly package it in a spill-proof container, make sure the lid's on tight, and then from there, make sure that you're able to label it clearly.
Okay, so regardless of, it might be in a package that says something else, just do you suggest making a label, just writing on it with a Sharpie? How specific and how, I guess, understandable do people have to be when it comes to labeling?
Well, as long as you're labeling it clearly, that's all we can really ask, right? So,
okay.
Yep.
Okay, so are we doing good as Calgarians in terms of labeling, or is that something that you find that, or packaging that we need to work on?
We're packaging items pretty well, but there's definitely some room for improvement.
Okay.
We have some really great examples today of materials that came in that could be properly packaged and properly labeled to ensure the safety of the person who's packaging it, for people that will be handling the chemicals after, and for the environment.
Right, that's an important thing to remember. It's pretty easy for people to have accidents, or when they don't, when the package isn't secure.
Yeah, the biggest thing we can do is make sure that the chemicals aren't mixed together. Okay. So think about things like you have in your house as far as household cleaners, ammonia, bleach. If you were to mix those two materials together, you could end up with some noxious fumes.
Okay.
And so from there, we just really encourage Calgarians to keep their chemicals separate when they bring them here to the household hazardous waste drop-offs.
Okay, and the package that we're putting the waste in is also very important. We've seen some of the examples here today. They're even in containers that have been or could be punctured very easily.
Absolutely. So making sure they're in a spill-proof container with a lid on tight is what we're asking.
Okay, awesome. We're going to talk a little bit about this in part 2 of City Matters today. When we come back, we'll talk more about properly labeling and give you some tips on that. Back with more Go Calgary right after the break.